Welcome to Business Reporter's Best of Global Business campaign. Today, the World Health Organization defines over 5,500 rare diseases, and globally, more than 7,000 are recognized. Conditions that are often misunderstood, underfunded, and underserved. But here's the trillion-dollar question. Can the research and innovation needed to treat rare diseases be both a humanistic mission and a strong business model? To explore this, we're joined by the leadership of Kyowa Kirin, Dr. Masashi Miyamoto, Chairman and CEO, and Dr. Abdul Mullik, President and Chief Operating Officer of Kyowa Kirin. Let's begin with the company. Who are you?
我々は2008年に2つの会社がマージして生まれた、比較的まだ新しい研究開発型の製薬企業です。あまりまだサイズは大きくありませんけども、一つのミッションのもとにみんな集まって仕事をしています。そのミッションはライフサイエンスとテクノロジーの進歩を追求し、新しい価値の創造により世界の人々の健康と豊かさに貢献します。これは究極的には患者さんを笑顔にすることであり、それによって我々自身も笑顔になるということが、世界中で5600人700人ぐらいの仲間がそれを心に秘めて日々仕事をしている会社になります。
That's a lovely value, isn't it? To make the patient smile.
Yeah, it's true. You know, sometimes when you use the expression making people smile, it could sound a bit strange when you're talking about such serious diseases. But the way we talk about it is exactly as Miyamoto-san said. You know, we've got a history of bringing cutting-edge science to change lives of patients and their families. And by doing so, making them smile because you changed their life. As a Japan-based global specialty pharma, we use an analogy and compare it to Mount Fuji. So if you look at it in terms of height, it's probably not very high. But if you ask somebody to name a mountain, invariably they'll say Mount Fuji. And why? Because it's beautiful, it's perfectly formed and shaped, it's got a mystical quality to it, but it's certainly not the biggest. And that's the way we like to think of ourselves. We are a small but perfectly formed, beautiful company that has a positive impact on its surroundings, our communities, our patients, our employees.
Rare diseases. Mm-hmm. And that the word rare says it all, really. Could you share some examples of the conditions that Kyowa Kirin focuses on it and explain the impact in plain terms?
Yeah. So right now there are three areas where we have medicines that we're currently serving patients are a disease called X-linked hypophosphatemia. It's a really rare, debilitating condition impacting predominantly the bones. It's genetic, which means you get it from birth and it impacts your life. It means for a child, the child doesn't grow, their bones are deformed, they're in a lot of pain, they get tired very quickly, they can't take part in activities like their peers do, they look different, they're bullied. It's not just them, it impacts their families, everybody around them, and it's devastating for them. Another condition we work on is called cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, cancer. But it presents on the skin, and then what looks like a rash, and it gets progressively worse. But it impacts the quality of life in a really, really profound way. I mean, people talk about their skin itching so much, they literally scratch it off. The most serious condition, arguably, that we're currently treating with our medicines is something called MLD, metachromatic leukodystrophy. It's another genetic disease. It's hereditary, you're born with it, and impacts the white matter of the brain. Children don't live beyond the age usually of 5 years old. You can imagine the impact that has, of course, not only on the child, but on the family.
From a research perspective, what are the major scientific hurdles in tackling these rare and complex diseases?
レアディジーズの場合は特にその病気そのものを研究してらっしゃるアカデミアの人たちも非常に少ないということがあります。患者さんを助ける、笑顔にしていくんだという強い気持ちがないとできないことだと思います。それをベースに研究をスタートして、今彼が説明した 製品が世の中には出てますけども、一つの例で言えば XLH の研究に関して言うと、研究をスタートしたのが1990年代の半ばですけども、そこからマーケット、いわゆる承認を取って発売できるまでには20年ぐらいかかってます。そういう長い時間も諦めずにマーケットに届けることができるというふうに考えています。
And it is a long process, but it'd be interesting to understand how you address the patient care.
There's multiple aspects of it. Of course, as Miyamoto-san said, there's actually developing the medicines. And that's a long and arduous journey. R&D is more failure than success. And so your scientists have got to be inspired and motivated to keep pushing. You know, you could imagine that if you don't get the result you want, you give up, but you got to keep going.
How do you do that? Jumping in, how do you motivate those scientists? Because you're right, because they're stuck in a lab most of the time, I'm imagining.
If you ask them, I don't think they think they're stuck in a lab. They think that what they're doing is much more important than that. If you're working on the front line, for example, in our commercial or medical teams, you know, you get the opportunity to talk to physicians and potentially even patients who are impacted by the disease. And so the mission is much clearer. However, the further you get away from the patient, maybe into some of our support functions or even back into research or manufacturing, the opportunity to connect with patients is reduced. And so what we try and do, and what we're trying to do increasingly so, is try and connect the patient stories, their journeys, their trials, their tribulations, their joys, their successes with our employees so that they really understand the value of each and every one of them and what they do.
If we move on to technologies, advanced technologies like AI and data science, do they play a part in accelerating your innovation pipeline?
そう、非常に大きな可能性があると思ってますし、すでにその AI を我々のリサーチのチームでもすでに導入して使っているグループもあります。ベーシックサイエンスとして例えばそのターゲットのタンパクを見つけるとかですね、病気のターゲットのジーンを見つけるみたいなところにも非常に有用に使えます。なぜかというと多くのデータを AI は全て読み込んだ上で、AI が考える一番ベストな方法はこうだっていうのを出してくれたりとかしますし、例えばタンパクを扱っているとそのタンパクの3次元の構造が非常に薬を作る上で大事なんですけども、それ今までは非常に長い時間かけてタンパクを結晶化して X 線を当てて構造解析やるって非常に長い時間かかってたんですけども、最近はタンパクを構成しているアミノ酸を入れてあげると、これは Google の技術だと思いますけども、それで、タンパクの結晶 3D の構造を予測してくれるっていうテクノロジーがもうすでにアベラブル、かなり精度が高いみたいなことがあります。ベーシックなサイエンスでもそういうことが起きてますし、それをじゃあ今度は、クリニカルスタディに行こう、患者さんをいかにそのスタディに、リクルートしてくるかっていうのは非常に大事なポイントなんですけど、ここでも AI が非常に活躍します。早く患者さんにお届けしたい薬の承認を得るためにものすごい時間がかかる。ここを AI を使うことによってデータベースを見るということで、患者さんのアイデンティファイで非常に早くなる。それからもちろんそういったテクノロジーを製造にも使えますし。
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting area for rare diseases. So of course there's the R&D side, as Miyamoto-san said, but recently what we started doing is actually using AI and machine learning to help identify patients. So you imagine they often talk about rare diseases as like a needle in a haystack, trying to find that patient. And so historically we've kind of done blanket disease awareness and education programs to multiple doctors and patients. What we're able to do now is kind of looking at the array of symptoms that a patient may have linked to a rare disease. We're able to pinpoint where that patient may be under whose care, and then we're able to go to that particular office and help educate the doctor about the disease, and maybe the doctor, she or he, could have a patient that has this disease. So it's allowing the limited resources that we have to be much more targeted and more impactful.
How do you address the business side of things?
You know, because they're so rare, the kind of commercial interest from many companies isn't there. You know, the field of medicine is moving towards cardiometabolic mass market diseases, obesity, heart failure, oncology, you know, where there's a high prevalence and a lot of patients. So rare diseases are underserved. People don't want to research them necessarily because they can't see the financial return. And, you know, for our company, it's really aligned more about our mission, that we really want to bring life-changing value, and that means that we focus our science on those areas where maybe other companies don't go.
確かに、患者さんが少ないということですので、ちゃんとグローバルで患者さんにお届けすることができれば、我々としてはそれなりのサイズを持ったマーケットに見えますし、そこからしっかりと、利益を得るということが次の研究への投資につながります。
Let's go to those traditional values again. Explain why they're so important across all aspects of your business.
そうですね。2008年に我々の会社ができたと申し上げましたけども、その時は2つの会社がマージしてできたわけです。で、およそ1000人弱の従業員がみんなで集まって新しい会社を作るんだということで、そこで何をするのか、何のために我々はこの新しい会社を作ったのかというそれぞれの皆さんが思ってる思い、言葉を出してもらいました。でそれを一つの、ポエムのような形にまとめた文章があってですね、英語だとコミットメントトゥーライフですね。それをベースに我々の会社はずっと活動してきています。
One of the reasons I joined the company was when I read this Commitment to Life poem.
It sounds beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. It defines the kind of company that our employees want us to be. And it talks about a company that cares the most for life, a company that doesn't just make medicine, it makes people smile. A company that acknowledges it's not a big company, but one that has qualities like no other. A company that really understands that strength isn't what wins the world, a caring heart is what is called for. A company that understands and appreciates that coming together as one is more powerful than the individual. And we try to capture and harness that poem, the key qualities in that poem, into our Kabigo principles. These are the behaviors that we will believe enable us to achieve our mission, to help make more people smile. And so there's 11 of them. They talk about an array of different qualities, from patient centricity to developing talent, to caring for others, to inspiring others, to make a difference. And what we're trying to do is embed those within our companies, role model them ourselves where we can, and instill them in all our employees through hiring, growth, development, recognition, feedback, and then really kind of ensure they really permeate throughout the whole organization.
Well, Dr. Masashi Miyamoto, Chairman and CEO, Dr. Abdul Mulik, President and Chief Operating Officer, thank you both so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.